So before you learn how to describe the leaf itself, we need to first learn how to describe how the leaves are organized along the stem or branches of the plant. In other words, we're looking at how the leaves are arranged up the stem. I'm looking at Mahoi, or Melicytus ramiflorus, and you can see that there is one leaf per node. And if you don't know what a node is, you need to go back and watch part 1 of this series where I go over all the terminology that you need to know. So yeah, one leaf per node, and this is what we call alternating leaves, because the leaves are alternating at each subsequent node. I've got another example of alternating leaves here. This is a meadow seedling, and you can see that the leaves are very closely alternating, so there is still one leaf per node kind of alternating along the stem. However, you'll see that this leaf arrangement is quite different from Mahoi, and that is because the leaves on this one are always kind of on one of two sides of the stem, whereas with Mahoi the leaves kind of spiraled around the stem. So we need two more pieces of terminology to help us describe these leaf arrangements separately. For Mahoi we would say that it is spirally alternating because the leaves are spiraling, whereas for meadow here we would say that the leaves are distichously alternating, and distichous essentially just means that the leaves are only on two sides. There's no kind of rotation of axis for where the leaves emerge from the stem. Next up, looking here at Porokaiferi, pigeonwood, or Hedycaria arborea. These leaves come in pairs up the stem. So you can see there's two leaves per node this time. This is what we call opposite because the leaves are opposite each other in pairs. Pretty straightforward. And as you can see, we have a similar issue popping up here where the nodes are rotating 90 degrees at each subsequent point on the stem. And if we look at a different species right behind us here, we have Hangi, Geniostoma ligus and you can see that this one, there is no rotation of the axis. So again, we need a little bit more terminology to specify how the opposite leaves are arranged in relation to each other. So this one here for Hangi, where the opposite leaves are on the same axis all the way up, again we call this distichous, same as with the alternating leaves of the meadow tree. With the pigeonwood here, with the leaves opposite but on different axes, they're kind of at 90 degrees to each other. This kind of creates a crisscross pattern if we looked down from the top of the stem, and this is what we call Decussate, which essentially just means crisscrossing. So I've seen plants with one leaf per node, we've seen plants with two leaves per node, and that leaves us with one more type of leaf arrangement, which is 3 or more leaves per node, and this is what we call whorled. Now you may notice that this is a change of scenery, and that's because I hunted for ages and I could not find an example to show you of this. It's not a very common leaf arrangement. It does happen in a few Pittosporum species. I've got a photo of Pittosporum cornifolium, Tawhiri Karo, and that does have whorled leaf arrangement. So I'll put that photo up on the screen for you now. Otherwise, what is more common is being what is called terminally whorled, meaning that it is only whorled at kind of the very tips of the stems. And I do have an example here. This is Veronica persica, just a tiny little plant that I grabbed from the side of the driveway. And you can see that along the stem it is alternating, but when you get to the end of the stem, it is terminally whorled. So you can see there's lots of leaves all packed closely together, creating this whorl right at the very end of the stem. Another example of this terminally whorled leaf arrangement is Leucopogon fasciculatus, which is tall mingi. Now there is one more leaf arrangement that I want to show you very quickly, and you will find this if you ever go out onto your lawn and just look very closely at the weeds growing in your lawn. And this is kind of somewhat whorled looking, but it's all compressed. There is no actual stem. This kind of the internodes of this plant are all compressed down all together. So there's kind of no internodes, it's just a bunch of nodes all compressed together. So all the leaves are emerging out of this one point. And this is what is called a rosette of leaves. So kind of similar to Whorled, but there is no stem. And there you have it. That is basically everything you need to know about leaf arrangement. You usually don't have to keep in mind terms such as Decussate or Distichous. The main ones are alternating, opposite, whorled, or rosette. Those are the 4 pieces of terminology that you just need to keep in your mind when attempting to identify a plant. That is all for this week. I will see you next time.